Learn all about living in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico from John Swanson in this video interview with expats in Mexico. So John, why did you decide to head down to Mexico?
Well, I'll give you the patented kind of funny answer because I could. I'm from the Seattle area. I lived in cold climates all my life, and it had been a long-term goal of mine to live somewhere sunny. I'd come to Puerto Vallarta almost every year of my professional career and really enjoyed it here. And as doors opened and I got to thinking about it more, I just cut the cable and moved to Mexico, sold it all, and came here.
And what year was that?
I spent my first full-time year down here, or started in my full-time goals about 1990, with a couple of months, and then I'd go back. The next year it was 3 months. Then I'd go back, and next year I did a whole bunch of 6 and 6s between Seattle and here. But by the end of the 90s, I just had a little trailer on my parents' property, so I'd go up and visit them and come back home. I'll quote a comedian I saw once. She said, "I'd go up and see everybody in my hometown more if I could just talk the pilot into waiting in the yard while I run in and say hi."
So what did you do when you first got to Vallarta?
My very first stint was I was organizing, for the most part, the travel, but you might call me a wedding coordinator. But I decided that being between nervous brides and government officials in Guadalajara was not an enviable position to be in, and I quickly started trying to figure out a better way, or at least a less stressful one.
Yeah.
But if you ever need to learn how to never ever get Montezuma's revenge as long as you live, I can tell you that every bride asked me that question, and ultimately I went to some seminars on it, and I know the truth.
They have seminars on that?
There's actually a guy, a kind of a funny experience, a doctor that said, "I'm the greatest doctor on tropical disease in the history of the world." And the reason is that I was the head doctor for the U.S. Army during the entire Vietnam War. So he said, "We tried more things." And I'm sure everybody's wondering what the trick is. Just trust me on this one. Drink a little Pepto-Bismol before you come to Mexico. It kills the bacteria in your intestines. You'll be fine. You can eat salads, tomatoes. Incidentally, you're supposed to eat salads and tomatoes and fruit. So don't switch over to an unhealthy diet just because you're in Mexico. It's more of a natural thing.
Exactly. Where did you rent when you first got to Puerto Vallarta?
I did. My highest priorities were on the water and with a tennis court. So I rented at the Mismaloya condos that overlook the hotel down there, and they had a cantilevered tennis court over the bay. So it was really spectacular.
I know that well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot.
And how long did you stay down there?
That was actually my very first stint down here. And I'm kind of guessing it's been a while, 20 some years. So a couple of months, I'm going to say. So I moved to the north part of the city. It's geographically flat up here, and therefore has most of the hospitals, schools, soccer fields, all this kind of stuff that takes a lot of land. So living down the beautiful South Coast is something that I loved, but convenience quickly rose to the top of the list of stuff that I needed in my life. So, and then ultimately, I bought a really kind of unassuming little condo in a venerable spot here. I live in a place called the Marbella condos.
And so that is, how close is that to the beach? Is it right on the beach?
It's not, and it maybe comes from my marine background, but being right on the beach wasn't my highest priority. After 11 years on a boat, I grew to really love trees and flowers and lawn and green things. So no, I'm about a block from the beach in a gated community.
So just to try to pinpoint, what colonia do you live in?
I live in the Zona Hoteles Norte.
Okay, the hotel
Um,
zone.
and
Okay.
if you thought Plaza Caracol, I live next door.
Oh,
It's
sure.
it was like 100 stores in a mall within 5 minutes walk from my front door.
How large is your place?
To answer your question, it's about 1,000 square feet. It's 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. In this particular case, the condo that I bought was $100,000 when we bought it. We did a remodel that includes, granite, marble. It's not fabulous in here, but it's definitely all of comfortable. So I have onyx countertops here, granite in the bathrooms, that kind of thing. And I'm in the process of purchasing my second one here because they make good little rentals in very close proximity to all the stuff you want to do, shopping, etc. And they're kind of flying under the radar. I think they're a good investment. So
How long
uh,
ago did you buy your place?
I bought this. I'm kind of shooting from the hip here because I lived here anyway. Call it 5 years ago.
So how much would a place like yours be selling for today?
Well, I mentioned these are kind of flying under the radar, although there's nothing for sale on our multi-list here in this complex. And for that reason, all of the real estate has a tendency to be going up some in the Vallarta area. But to answer your question, probably 100 and a quarter minimum.
And you're in the real estate business?
Yes, I sure am. I'm one of the two principal owners of an agency here called Boardwalk Realty, just like the Monopoly game.
And when did you start your business, John?
Okay, so in 2013, we really set out to hit the market as hard as we could and become one of the established real estate agencies here. We're kind of typically probably in the top five, way more often than not on the entire Bay now. So we're a pretty good indicator of what's going on in the market.
What is it about Puerto Vallarta that attracted you? Did you visit any other Mexican cities or consider them to live, or was it always PV?
I've been in Mazatlan and a few other places on the West Coast, but PV really just captured my heart. In large regard, I would say that geographically, it's just such a unique place that it had things that I didn't think I would find anywhere else, and that I particularly enjoyed. And with the variety of real estate that we have here, it offers a variety of lifestyles as well. So I mentioned from the middle of Puerto Vallarta going south that it's very mountainous and that we're on a huge bay here. So we're surrounded on three sides by the Sierra Madre Mountains. Because we're surrounded by mountains, they've only had rough weather in Puerto Vallarta one time in like hundreds of years. It takes a very special tropical low to get in the bay, and it just doesn't happen very often at all. And starting in town and going south, it's beautiful, it's mountainous, it's pure jungle. And then, going north, I mentioned that the north end of even Puerto Vallarta is very flat, but as you go north on the bay into Nuevo Vallarta and Bucerias and up to the towns, ultimately end in kind of our Hollywood Four Seasons, Punta de Mita, maybe a couple hours out of town. It's really flat. And it just lifestyle wise to the south end, people really enjoy the jungle and the beautiful crashing waves on the rocks and the sandy beaches in between. As you come into the Zona Romantica or south end of our town, that's definitely the fun center. You might think of it as very bohemian, definitely home to our gay crowd, but it's not exclusively gay or anything else. I've heard it said, and I agree, that the only thing that's not accepted in the South End or Zona Romantica is negativity. We just all try to get along and have a lot of fun together, and nobody really cares who goes home with whom. So, and then at the north end, there's more schools. Like I said, hospitals, baseball fields. It's very flat here, and going north on the bay into Nuevo, you might think Palm Springs. It was a designed town that was built in the flat. They trucked in the palm trees. Every bush is manicured. The properties are very luxurious. It has more of a country club feel to it. And then, of course, there's just little towns that dot the entire coast of the bay. And you can pretty much find a good piece of fresh fish anywhere on the whole bay. So depending on who you are, you have a tendency to fit in an area or another, because you'll find the majority of the people doing the same things as you.
What's the cost of living there now? Considerably higher since it's an international resort city than, say, the Lake Chapala area, for example.
I think we're more I don't know Lake Chapala that well, Bob, so I can't speak to it with great expertise, but we definitely are more of a tourist destination than they are. But that's one of the great things about PV, is that not as the town of Puerto Vallarta have approximately 300,000 people in it, but it also has a neighboring town called Pitayal of about the same size, purely Mexican. I mean, you might find a tourist over there, and there are people that visit, but a lot of things are handmade. Clothes are handmade over there. So it's a little bit the best of both worlds from PV to Pitayal. PV, we have Costco and Sam's Club and Office Depot, and I can get you all the English-speaking television channels and fast internet and that kind of thing. Pitayal, I wouldn't promise you any of those things. It's just definitely almost a trip back in time. Lake Chapala was originally settled by a lot of the World War II veterans coming back and looking for an inexpensive place to live on their pensions. So I'm going to take a shot at it from the hip. Say we're maybe a third more expensive right in the town. You can live in Mexico on a little or a lot. Trust me, the guy that's driving the bus isn't living on a huge amount of money. And you can live in Puerto Vallarta that way too. But we also are very attractive to the people that love the luxury and the fabulous Mexican coast and kind of a Riviera feel that we have here. So cost of living, I'm from Seattle. I visited there recently. I mean, I think I'd be generous if I said that Seattle is more than twice as expensive as Puerto Vallarta. In other words, if you're living on fixed income or even just want fabulous real estate at a very good buy in a hell of a town, I think we're a great alternative. And a town that's very fun. So from healthcare to dentistry to your typical price of a jug of milk here, I think you'll find it much cheaper in Puerto Vallarta than most U.S. cities. And if that doesn't do it for you, you can go to the public markets and that kind of thing and save yourself even more money. Just kind of as a funny sideline, my girlfriend, who's originally from Pitayal and now a federal attorney, she won't eat any of the vegetables out of Costco or Sam's Club. She says they don't have any flavor. They're way overpriced. She brings home these little avocados with little seeds in them, and I got to admit, you definitely taste the difference.
So it really pays to integrate into the local community, and in your case, you have a girlfriend who's is a local person and knows the area extremely well, and that's a big benefit.
Yes, there is that. I think probably one of the easiest ways to assimilate and start meeting people in Puerto Vallarta might be to start asking questions of the locals. It's a funny thing, but they literally, and myself included, literally love to talk about the town. It becomes almost like a passing of the torch as new people arrive, the people that have been down here for a while. And I'm, pushing 20 years down here now. Just love to share their experiences in town here and the good, bad, and whatever about living in Mexico. It can be chaotic. They have a saying down here, the good news is it's Mexico. The bad news, it's Mexico, so the other one that I agree with, they also say laugh or leave. So, we do try to take our American, Canadian, and varied backgrounds where everybody's workaholic and come down to Mexico and learn how to slow down and enjoy life a little bit.
Well, that's a great place to end this great interview, John. Let's laugh and then leave.